Huns looked like a much better team on Inferno as well. And then we got through to Ancient, and Atox just kind of outplayed Huns, particularly in that second half. It really felt like they had their number. So I think for Atox, that was very surprising for me because that was their 9th official map of Counter-Strike that day, and they managed to find a way to lift, which is some insane stamina for sure.
Well, it's interesting that you should mention that because that is actually the scenario now that the Huns are going to face because they played a best of 3 earlier today. It was against Shingus Warriors. That did go to 3 maps as well. Maybe not like the closest of maps in all senses of the word, but you know, a best of 3 already for them there. Then they have to play a best of 3 here against Envision. If recent history is anything to go by, this is going to end up being a pretty close series. And then you go into that Atox game, assuming you do win against Envision. And yesterday's game against Atox was quite a close one as well. So it could be a real grind for the Huns today in the same way that Atox had to grind it out yesterday. Luckily, in the case of Atox, you know, they didn't have to play their games today. They had that extra game yesterday. So they'll have a little bit more freshness. In fact, quite a degree more freshness by the third game, essentially, of the day, as it were, today as opposed to yesterday, because that'll be actually the only game that they have to play, which is well, hopefully going to be something that is going to benefit them in the short term. It's going to give them a little bit of time to prep on in. But I want to pick up on something that you said a little bit earlier there as well in regards to Lin Vision. Obviously, you know, you sort of said something like, you know, if we would have gone back 6 months, we would have said, Lin Vision should win this series 2-0. And even honestly, like it kind of feels like that to me today. I'd be looking at it and going, yeah, I think Lin Vision probably should be the stronger side in this matchup, just on paper. But the fact of the matter is, unfortunately, at least in the case of Lin Vision, that has not been the case in their most recent 2 matchups. We saw what happened yesterday. That was a really, really long one. But even in ECL, a 1-1 between these 2 teams, it definitely was nothing super convincing from Lin Vision in any of those maps, really.